The San Antonio Spurs maybe have the brightest future in the entire NBA, basically all thanks to Victor Wembanyama. After being the most hyped prospect we've ever seen, he somehow lived up to the hype in his rookie year, and it feels like now that the LeBron era is coming to an end, the Wemby era is officially beginning.
And I am mad with jealousy at this point. These got David Robinson and then Tim Duncan, and now they get this kid.
Before we start talking about Victor Wembanyama, please give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on any new videos. So before we get into what the future looks like for Big Vic and the Spurs, let's just go over that ridiculous rookie year he just had. Obviously, I mean, we heard about him for basically a year or maybe like even a year and a half leading up to the 2023 NBA draft. The most hyped prospect we've ever seen. I mean, we weren't watching the NBA when LeBron was drafted. We were watching like Toy Story and Arthur, I guess. I don't know. We were 5 years old, so we weren't around. But from watching the NFL and NBA for nearly the past 2 decades, does anyone even come close? I mean, Andrew Luck was pretty hyped up.
I was about to say Andrew Luck. He's the only one I could think of.
Yeah, he's the only one like remotely close. Woj called him the greatest prospect in team sports history. At the time, that seemed like hyperbole, but in hindsight, dude was spitting.
I mean, in terms of American team sports, who's he competing with? Like John Elway, LeBron, and Kareem, maybe?
Yeah, and like LeBron, I don't expect Big Vic to be better than LeBron, but as a prospect, I'm sorry.
He might be better as a prospect.
Is.
That was painful for you to say.
I mean, it's 7'4" with that leg drip. We know, we'll talk about it, but I think he was. The Spurs win the NBA draft lottery and they take him first overall. We'll forever be salty. Oh, the Blazers were so close. I mean, we could have still had Dave and probably been nice with him. Damn.
I know this is not like how probabilities work, but apparently like the Blazers were like 1 number away.
Yeah.
Like it's not how probabilities work. We weren't actually 1 number away, but the fact that that report came out after the draft, it's like...
It's just what we are. I mean, it's just who we are. It's what happens. We're used to it by now.
He's a big man, so he probably would have broken his leg 10 games into the season for us.
Yeah, fair point. Anyways, though, on to Summer League. In Wembanyama's first Summer League game, I mean, I don't want to be too harsh, but I would say he disappointed. Like, he showed some flashes. He had some nice blocks, you know, showed he could handle the ball, make some passes, but 9 points on 2 of 13 shooting. Not the best look playing against Summer League players. I didn't want to overreact. Like, I wasn't going to just write him off based off that, but still not a great performance.
I mean, he did give us an all-time meme, though, after that. What the quote was, I had no idea what I was doing out there.
Yeah,
so,
he
like,
did say that.
All-time, like, Bleacher Report, like, meme right there. So, you know what? Props to you for that, Wemby. Quickly silenced his doubters with the next game, though. 27 points on 9 of 14 shooting, 12 boards. He did do it against the Blazers, so that only counts for half a point. But, you know, still, great game. Had some great dunks, was snagging rebounds, hit some fadeaway shots. Jabari Walker, bless his heart, was doing his best to try to guard him, but the dude had no chance.
No, and after that, the Spurs smartly shut down Wemby for the rest of the Summer League. So fast forward to preseason. I mean, he had that opener against Chet. They had that little duel, but it was really that game against the Heat that really got people excited for his rookie year. He had that one fast break dunk where he just like glided to the hoop. There was the alley-oop he called for from basically the 3-point line.
It was the 3-point line.
Yeah, just throw that up there. I'll go get it.
I was like, get Wemby down there somewhere.
And then the dunk on Thomas Bryant, where Thomas Bryant was just like, huh? Couldn't believe it.
Never played against a guy like this before. Like, yes, this was the preseason and he was playing against Jamal Cain and Thomas Bryant instead of Jimmy and Bam, but I mean, it was impressive just seeing the plays this dude could make.
Overall, he just looked insane in preseason. So in our top 25 players video going to the next season, I ranked him at 21, you ranked him at 25. And we were like trying to be bold at the time, but in hindsight, we probably still kind of underrated him.
Yeah, we were trying to like get ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Like, well, we're believing in him. He's a top 25 player. And I mean, his regular season debut, 15 points, 6 of 9 shooting, 5 boards, 2 assists, 2 steals, 5 turnovers still, and the Spurs did lose the game, but I mean, he looked impressive. And in the next game, 21 points, 12 boards, 3 steals, 3 blocks. 2 of those blocks were on Jabari Smith, and they came within like 3 seconds of each other.
Yeah.
God, this dude is insane to watch.
Jabari Smith, for some reason, got the bright idea to try to yam it on Vic. Didn't work, got the ball back, tried to lay up, also got swatted. So everyone was just getting introduced to him. Then a week later, the Spurs capped off back-to-back wins over the Suns. Wemby in that second win had 38 points in just his 5th NBA game. In both those games, he was huge down the stretch. He had that one poster on Drew Eubanks. And at the time, the Spurs improved to 3-2, pretty good for a young team with zero expectations. But then they proceeded to lose 18 straight games.
I mean, they got the #1 pick for a reason. They were not a good basketball team last year. They're not a good basketball team this year.
I mean, Wemby did have some great individual moments during that stretch. He had that block on OG where he just snagged the ball in the air. And then another block on OG. Same game where OG catches the ball at the 3-point line in the corner and Vic comes from basically the paint to block the shot. He had 29 points against the Timberwolves in a battle of the French big men. He had that nasty poster on Sengun. And then the AD versus Wemby duel in December. That was pretty good as well.
AD goes for 37 and 10. Vic goes for 30, 13, and 6 blocks. AD did have a monster dunk where he did kind of bully Wemby. You know, Wemby's still got to grow a little bit, still got to put on a little bit of muscle, but Wemby had his moments too. He pinned an Austin Reeves shot against the glass. Spurs almost came back and won the game, but fell just short in that, put the losing streak up to 18. But they did beat the Lakers a couple nights later, although AD was out, but you know, LeBron played, and hey, a win is a win for a team that's on an 18-game losing streak.
But they did lose their next 5 games. Luckily for them, though, they played the Blazers, and that, you know, that's a free win.
That one doesn't count.
Wemby drops his 3rd 30-point game of his career, but it was interesting at this time. It gets forgotten about because by the end of the season, it wasn't a discussion at all. But at this point, it was Chet or Wemby for Rookie of the Year. There wasn't a consensus. A lot of people were going with Chet. I mean, Chet won the first 2 Rookie of the Month awards out west.
Well,
so
it was that old debate where, yeah, Wemby's got the better stats, but Chet's team has the better record, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's not Wemby's fault. He's got this bummy ass team around him, and Chet's got Shea and Jalen Williams and Lou Dort and all of them. So I was always team Wemby, but a lot of people like Chet. I think one of the games that really turned the discussion around was that duel versus Giannis. Giannis had 44, 14, and 7. Vic drops 27, 9, and 5. And just some of the plays he had this game were ridiculous.
He had a lob off the backboard to himself for a dunk, but the freakiest play was when on that fast break, he goes around his back to dodge a steal from Dame and then just yams it with Brook Lopez right on his back. Just terrifying, honestly. If you're a fan of the 29 other NBA teams, like, we have to deal with this bullshit for probably the next 15 years.
Yeah, and plus the blocks at the end of this game, he blocked Dame, and then that block on Giannis, who we're so used to Giannis just bullying people and using his length and throwing it over people, did not work on Wemby. Wemby just sent that back. Unfortunately for the Spurs, though, they came up just short. Trey Jones had a wide open corner 3 to tie the game, but he missed it. And then in January, just the highlight plays continue. How about that block he had on Anthony Simons where he volleyball spiked
I was about to say, that wasn't a block. That was a spike. That was, poor Ant, man. I mean, it's what you get when you're 6'1" and you're trying to attack a 7'4" freak of nature, though.
Yeah, and then Daniel Gafford gets blocked. He got the same thing OG got earlier in the season where he shoots the ball and then Vic just grabs it out of the air because that's fair.
End of January, finally, Wemby wins a Rookie of the Month, rightfully so, by the way. And in February, he was even better. In mid-February, he had probably his best game of the season, 27 points, 14 boards, 10 blocks.
What?
Not insane. Also had 5 assists and 2 steals and shot 71% from the field, in case you're wondering.
And then a week later, just speaking of historic stat lines, he gets the first 5x5 game since 2019 when Yusuf Nurkic did it. Yusuf Nurkic pre-injury.
Don't remind me, man.
Dude was a beast, but back to Wembanyama, 27 points in that game, 10 rebounds, 8 assists, 5 steals, 5 blocks. Oh my God. This is the rookie stat lines. I want to know what they're going to look like when he's like 26 and 27 and he's really established himself in this league.
I was going to say, I don't think it'll happen, but God help us all if this kid puts on like 25 pounds of muscle.
Oh my God.
We are all Fucked, capital letters.
And then in his final matchup against Chet, he drops 28 points, 13 boards, 7 assists, 5 blocks, 2 steals. He sealed the game with a big 3 and then a block on Chet.
sealed the Rookie of the Year combo in this game too.
He did. Goes without saying, he won Rookie of the Month for February. And then in March, again, these stat lines I can't get over. 33 points, 15 rebounds, 7 assists, 7 blocks, and a win against the Nets. Nick Claxton was doing his best, but the dude's not fair. It's simple as that.
And Nick Claxton wasn't even playing bad defense on a lot of these plays. Wemby is just making ridiculous shots. Finally, in a game against the Knicks, he hit the 40-point mark for the first time in his NBA career. 40 points, 20 boards, and 7 assists. That's like a Shaq stat line.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know Shaq to get the 7 assists. Like, holy hell.
Jalen Brunson did outdo him with 61, but the Spurs actually won the game, so there you go.
Just ridiculous. And now let's talk about the end of season accolades. Obviously, he won Rookie of the Year. Like I said earlier in the video, it was a debate at one point by the end of the season. It was not a debate at all because he was unanimous Rookie of the Year, the 6th player in the last 40 years to do so. And he even got some All-NBA votes. He didn't make a team, but 2 second-team votes and then 3 third-team votes. And the most impressive thing of all, first-team All-Defense as a rookie.
Yeah, only 5 other players have done that, and it's a pretty great group. Tim Duncan, David Robinson, Manute Bol, Hakeem, and Kareem. That's a list you want to be on.
Yeah, I mean, outside of Manute Bol, no shade there, he was still a great defensive player. Those other 4 are some of the best defensive players in NBA history. That's damn near like the Mount Rushmore of defensive players. And the dude nearly won Defensive Player of the Year as a rookie. Rudy Gobert won it. I mean, Rudy Gobert's team was actually a good defensive team. The Spurs, even with Wembanyama, still sucked on defense. He got 19 first place votes, but still couldn't win the award. And going into next season, who was better than him on defense in the league? Like maybe 1 or 2 names.
Maybe AD, because I think AD just at this point, he's a little bigger, he's a little stronger. He could handle someone like Embiid or Giannis down the post. Even though, I mean, Wemby blocked Giannis.
Yeah.
Blocked it pretty good. No one's done that since Anthony Tolliver a couple of years ago. So I think I would still at this point take 80, but like I said, if Wemby can just get a little bit stronger, maybe the best defensive player of all time. That might sound hyperbolic, but he's got the potential.
I mean, yeah, it sounds hyperbolic, but then you think about it, first team all defense as a rookie, nearly won Defensive Player of the Year. I really don't even think that's that crazy. The dude's just that good on defense.
Entering the draft last Thursday, the Spurs had 2 lottery picks. They had the 4th pick and they had the 8th pick, which they got from Toronto in the Jakob Poeltl trade. Real quickly, the were the Raptors thinking with that trade?
I don't know. I was even seeing Raptors fans on Twitter like, what the hell were we thinking? It was when they were still trying to hold on to like build around Siakam, and I really don't know. I don't.
So Spurs, they take Stephon Castle at 4 out of UConn. Look, neither of us are going to sit here and pretend like we watch a whole lot of college basketball, so we don't know a whole lot about him. From what we've heard, his NBA comp is Drew Holiday, who just seems to win wherever he goes nowadays, yeah. So that's great. His weakness is his jumper, which is a little bit concerning because nowadays in the modern NBA, you want to have as many players on the court that can shoot as possible. So he can work on his jumper and get better. I mean, we've seen plenty of guys come into the league with not so great jumpers. I mean, De'Aaron Fox is a pretty good example of a guy who came into the league, couldn't really shoot at all, and now he's a pretty consistent 3-point shooter. If Castle can get his shot right, could be a great pick for the Spurs.
Yeah, I saw some people didn't like the pick, but in a weak draft, getting a guy who's 6'6", combo guard, can defend, like, I don't think he's going to be a bust. If you can play defense, you're 6'6", you're not going to get played off the court, and he can still score. If he can develop that jumper, his ceiling's very high. The shocker was with the 8th pick, they originally draft Rob Dillingham, and people are like, okay, they get this nice scoring young guard, and then they trade him to the Timberwolves for a 2030 pick swap and a 2031 unprotected first. I know people were making the memes like, they just traded Rob Dillingham for a 7th grader, and it's funny, but I actually like what the Spurs have done. They've just stockpiled picks. I mean, they got a swap from the Celtics, swap from the Mavs, they got those picks from the Hawks, they got that pick from the Bulls in the DeRozan trade that probably won't pan over because the Bulls suck. When they want to make their big splash to pair Wemby with another superstar,
they're gonna have the ammo.
Yeah, they're gonna have the assets to get that done.
So the Spurs, they obviously needed a point guard, and it was just announced yesterday, pretty late in the day, that they agreed to a 1-year, $11 million deal with Chris Paul. I think it's not a bad move. I think he could definitely help Castle develop. I mean, he's certainly not the long-term solution, but I mean, at the very least, he's gonna pass Wemby the ball. We know he's gonna do that.
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked by this because Chris Paul, he ain't winning a ring with the Spurs. I mean, I know Wemby and him will be great, but he ain't winning a ring. Kind of reminds me when Tony Parker signed with the Charlotte Hornets, just out of nowhere, but at the very least, the highlight reel, it was already great the rookie year with Chris Paul throwing lobs to Wemby. There is going to be some crazy dunks he throws down. But let's talk about Wemby real quick. Like, how good do you think he's going to be next year? Because by the end of next year, I think he's going to be like a borderline top 10 player. And I really don't feel like that's hot of a take. Like, who are those guys right now? Jalen Brunson, Devin Booker, LeBron?
I'd have to make a list of the top 10, but Jokic, Luka, Shea, Tatum,
Giannis,
that's Embiid. That's 7 right there.
I mean, besides that, though, it's going to be hard to see. I'm not saying for sure, but like based on what we saw this year, the improvements he made.
Oh, Steph too.
Yeah, Steph, of course.
So yeah, I mean, around that like 9 to 12 range, maybe.
And then like a year or two after that, I think it's going to be by his 3rd year, he's basically like a top 5 player. I mean, I know there's a lot of really good players in the NBA, and it's hard to say like, oh, so he's going to be better than Shea or he's going to be better than Embiid or whoever. But I mean, just with his skill set, his ability on defense, his offense going to get better.
The fact that he's 7'4".
Like, I think it's a matter of time before it's his league. Like right now, I don't know, maybe it's Jokic's league, or you could say it's the Celtics league as a whole. They're defending champs, but the LeBron era is over, and there's usually like a couple of year period where, you know, between Jordan and LeBron, there was that like 5-6 year period. And now I think between LeBron and Wemby, there's this 5-6 year period. And then I think from there on, the league is his. So what do you guys think? When does the Wemby era officially start? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please consider giving me a like. And hey, while you're here, check out some of our other content as well. And don't forget to subscribe to Synthetic Sports.